I don't always know, well, I never know what it is I'm going to be drawing, or I don't know why my voice sounds so deep. I never know what I'm going to be drawing beforehand. I allow the I allow the image to come out of the um, the background that I've created. So I will always create a background at first, and it can be, I'm using mixed media, or um, for this particular one, I had layered um, paint down. I'd used it as a page where I would put the excess paint that I had on my brush, and I just layered it down. And then when I came to the page, I decided to initially lay down some washi tape, which you might be able to see some of here. And then I started to add colour. Again, not deciding to layer any particular colour down. It was just whatever I was playing. I was playing with my, I've had these Neo colours, and I put them down. It's just like, oh my gosh, these are my favourite. I've got to ration myself. And so I'd put them down as like, they're the best, so only on special occasions. And I was talking to my cousin, and we were like, I was saying, oh yeah, I got mine. It's like, I put it down, and she was just like, no. And I realised, yeah, no, you shouldn't. That you've got to use them. There's no point in having these are the best and they only come out at special. It's just like when we were kids and you weren't allowed to use the fancy glasses because they were just for when we had guests. And so they, you never use them really. And we grew up with the having, I continued the tradition. I had in the cupboard, there were glasses that were only used when we had visitors. And it's just like, so, unless you're having visitors every week, which you don't, they hardly ever get used, and you don't use them yourself. You're special. So you should use the things that make you feel special. And so, yeah, I've been playing in my journal because it was just like, yes, only when I'm doing work that's for other people, I'll use them. And it's just like, no, you can use them for yourself. And so that's what I did. And so on this page, I just started to add the neo colour. And then the image formed. And I always, for some reason, I always do some sort of sea, some sort of tree in the background. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. And then I see where the image wants to go, and what story the image wants to tell. And obviously, not obviously, the story is mingled with my own because the images come from my subconscious. That's the way I see it. As I say, I didn't plan to draw a woman staring with her back towards the sea in front of a tree. She just emerged, but there's a story of letting go that she's telling, and that's come out in the journaling that I've put. And yeah, it's just been a long time since I've been working in my art journal. It's just one of many, and I decided to pick it up and start doing some work in there. And it was just such a beautiful feeling. I love working in my journal, and neglected it because I had been doing a lot of sculptures and working with fabric, working with other materials, that this kind of like got put got left on the wayside, I guess. And I didn't realize how, it really actually makes me feel. It's like another form of expression, and I don't necessarily have to go back and read what I've written. It's about, in that particular moment, this is what I needed to say about whatever it is that comes up. And it's like a freedom. So you've said it, you put it down on paper, and you can move on. You can grow, you can develop. Yeah, so that's really how they come about. And I've always kind of done, the little markings. I haven't, it's not something I've normally done on the face. It's only kind of like within the last year. There's messages in these and the shapes and the way that they come together. And that will also come out in time. It doesn't necessarily have to come out when I'm creating the image. It's that I get a strong feeling that, right, I need to do this particular line, I need to do these circles, I need to, and then, when it's done, when it's enough, and sometimes it doesn't feel like it's enough, and you think, oh, just one more circle, but and then you stop, and then what I normally do is walk away from it, and that's why working on more than one piece helps for me, because then I can just focus on something different and come back with fresh eyes. And so I will have, say, 3 or 4 pieces that I'm working on at any particular time, and that also helps with the stories that they need to tell. I mean, part of me is, there's so many stories that they need to tell. Sometimes perhaps it's best to just have one story at a time, but the way that it comes is that the stories are not like, well, I tell this story, then I tell that story. It's this particular story needs to be told in one image, and then you move to the next. Then it's sequential in the images themselves, not in the finished pieces. So I might be working on 4 pieces, and I tell the story on the 4 different pieces, or a part of a story, and it might join up or it might not. They might be totally separate, but you won't get the total story in one. If I'm making clear, I can't just work on one and tell all of its story at the same time, because all the stories are linked in some way, because I'm the artist, and obviously I'm the one who's telling the story, and part of that story is mixed up in the things that I want to say. So I find working in a art journal, in my own way, because I used to think that it had to look like the ones I was seeing when I first started. It was just like, oh, that's what an art journal is. And as I was going through, I thought, actually, but I don't want to do it like that. Sometimes I don't want to say anything. Sometimes it's just the picture that I want to show. So, I think that there's a lot of healing that comes from working in an art journal, and it allows you to express the things that you may not necessarily have the words for. So if you don't want to write, you don't have to. But sometimes just the figure itself, or the shapes that you use, are enough to say whatever it is in your subconscious that you want to say. So thanks for just stopping by, and I'll try and, share some more over time. So stay blessed and be a blessing.